Greetings! Welcome to the beginning of World War III. I know our view counts are low. They're low everywhere because everyone is waiting. Who's going to drop the nuke? Is it going to be Putin that throws the nuke? Or is it going to be Biden who drops an ice cream cone on the button? Ah, crap! I blew up the world with my ice cream cone! Somebody actually commented on Twitter today as I was posting my list. It said, "What's our foreign policy, United States?" I commented back. I said, "Can I have the chocolate ice cream cone, please?" That is our current foreign policy. Oh, well, guys, I hope everyone is doing all right. And let me unmute everybody before I forget. And where'd that go? Greetings, everybody. Greetings. How's it going?
Greetings.
Tech, are you jumping in? I mean, this was your idea. Are you coming or not? It's okay if you don't. I took very vague notes today. So it's pretty good. But anyway, so I hope you guys are all doing well. I actually have good internet today, which is weird. It was like 30 down and like 30. Actually, it was like, yeah, it was higher than that. Of course, I don't have cell phone signal. And for anybody looking at Mint Mobile, as much as I have not had any problem with it anywhere until I hit the Gulf Coast. Pretty much nowhere in the Gulf Coast have I had good cellular signals. So if you guys are looking to switch to Mint Mobile and you are in the Gulf Coast, yeah, probably don't use my affiliate there because it may not work as well. How's it going, Dan?
It's going.
All right. Very good. And how's it going, Subway?
I'm doing fine.
Doing
I
fine.
was visiting my parents who have some friends in Ukraine, and they don't feel too good today.
Now, how close are you to this kerfuffle?
We are in the north of Europe, and this is in the southeast of Europe, so we are far away.
All right. So you're probably all right. Good. Hey, Tex here. How's it going, man?
I've been here for the last 15 minutes. Only so you can hear me, I think.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen you at all. Yeah.
Talking and everything. Like did I come in and say something about Ukraine and y'all got to talking about it? Like what that?
Yeah. We didn't see it all. It's probably my fault because I did not get a chance to update the Jitsi server. You are very quiet though.
I am. I'm using Firefox.
It's the Google bots.
Yeah, maybe so.
It might be. I don't know.
Use the U word.
The bots. Can you hear me
Cool.
now?
15 waiting. There you go. What's the difference between open source and free software? I guess we'll talk a little bit about that. So somebody had left a comment I wanted to respond to prior to the show, and then I popped out my chat and the comment disappeared. Thanks for YouTube. But if I can remember, mostly like he asked, I believe, details like, you know, what I wish I remember what it was, but it was something to the effect of what's the talk a little bit about the free alternatives to the big paid software. Like I remember Microsoft Office being on there, a few other ones. So I guess if we have time, we'll get into that. Or if you're still around, whoever left the comment, leave it again so I can get a reminder exactly what was going on about it. But yeah, we'll talk about open source and free software a little bit. Reband switch to glowing skin. Am I glowing though? I mean, you guys on Jitsi, I always glow because
you're just a pale white.
You're neon white.
Like you haven't been outside in the sun at all.
I don't know what's going on with that camera today. It possibly though is
the monitors are flashing back at you with the LED.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure.
But
the live feed looks good, so we're into that. But I crossed from the west, I crossed the Mississippi, and then now we have massive humidity. So literally in one quick burst, everything went from perfectly crystal clear to everything is clouded by humidity.
That's what happens when you have something really lighted up in front of you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's up with you guys on Jitsi, but you guys watching my feed should look really good. So
yeah, I'm watching the feed also, and the colors of you on the feed is okay.
Yeah, because the feed gets done with the DSLR, and I think Tech cleaned his camera and knocked it out, so he'll be back, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, I look so foggy on the stream. I was like, what's wrong?
I look foggy too on my end. I don't know.
You look neon white, is what you look like.
I do. Yes, I do. Maybe what I should do is let me do a little bit of brief adjustment here. Let me back this camera down a little bit, which is going to help that out. And then I'm going to, since I have more control over the DSLR, let me crank up the ISO there. There we go. That should look a little bit better for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm too dark now. I look like I'm at a candlelight dinner with somebody. I don't know. There we are.
That's okay. We'll tolerate you.
That looks good.
But we will.
Oh, you'll have a candlelight dinner? All right. I finally finished that bag of potatoes. I want to have French fries like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I wanted to just get a potato or two. Couldn't find a potato or two. Had to get a whole bag. So I ate too many potatoes in a row, and I finished them up today. 5 little micro potatoes, made a whole giant plate of French fries. It was amazing.
They started growing in the bag.
Yeah, they didn't start growing in the bag, but it's all right.
It happens when I buy a bag.
Yeah. A lot of folks are watching what's happening in Ukraine. Yes, probably.
Yes, I think we stand Ukraine. At least I do.
Free software is freely given by maybe closed software open. You just pay for it. Open software is where the source code is available for anybody. Yeah, that's a good summary. Welcome to South cell phone signals. Yeah, which is funny. It's like I have not had consistent cell phone signal on my primary phone for like almost a month now. Ever since I hit Southern Texas, I've had it hit and miss inside of cities, but most places I was at, I was like, yeah, you can't reach me right now.
Yeah, you get stuck out in the desert, man. You're going to dry up like a prune because there's no cell phone out there.
No, the desert was fine. I've been in the desert, guy. I've been in the desert for the last 3 months. I'm perfectly fine.
You need to go back.
Yeah, I know.
It's that there's cell phone towers that are just sparse enough, and they're also dense enough with signal from users in the South that it kind of just dies.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm literally in.
It's like a very, very rural, like out west. So it's kind of
I'm literally in a city right now, and I don't have any cell signal. We drove out to dinner at a friend's house. We drove out to dinner last night, and I got a 3G bar when I was in the middle of a big city. Go figure. South cell phone signal is really bad. I wonder if the signals are being dampened by the ocean. That's my thought. Anybody out there have any idea about that?
I have never heard of that.
I don't know.
I ain't either. Either do I have a high
5G radios are hitting the ocean and then bouncing back and just canceling each other out.
Yeah, I'd figure like in the mountains I can, because those signals will bounce off the mountain and reflect back.
The wind song is killing them.
Vanish, yeah. I don't know. Okay, so Present Arms has dropped the comment back in. Please explain the open alternatives to the main page. So MS Word, LibreOffice, MS Paint, Krita. Krita is not MS Paint, though, necessarily, I don't think. AutoCAD, Blender, I don't think those are comparative either. And greetings from Brazil. Greetings. Yes. That was a question. Thank you. I'm guessing...
AutoCAD, there is a software called FreeCAD. How comparable it is, I'm not sure, but there are free CAD programs available.
Yeah, I remember some people saying they weren't the best before, but I think, I don't know, I just don't have enough experience. I use LibreOffice. There's other alternatives as well. Some people prefer only Office to LibreOffice. I prefer LibreOffice, but I think they're all good in their own ways. LibreOffice, though, supports the things I need to do with typesetting manuscripts for printers to print your books. Those are all important things to me. And LibreOffice does that. Only Office specifically does not. Krita is more like it's a more advanced drawing application. I don't know exactly what exactly it replaces in the paid software, but it would be something that artists would use.
Yes, it's like an advanced fingerprint painting type thing.
Yeah, and
it works best with a touch screen device
or writing tablets. Blender is an alternative to 3ds Max, and that works pretty good. All right, let's though get on to Hello, Fluffy Cloud. Greetings. Let's go ahead and get on to our topic. What does open mean? And Tech sent me an email to cover this. So I'll let you start in and talk about where you heard about this and why you wanted to talk about it.
So, being just kind of a tech enthusiast in general, I watched Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked event like 2
You're such a
weeks
geek.
ago now. Yeah, I know. And they kept saying this term. They kept saying this term, open collaboration, with Samsung's open collaboration platform. And I looked for this and I tried to find it, and there's nothing about this open collaboration platform that appears to be open in the way that open source enthusiasts would define open. They've got Samsung, they've got Microsoft, they've got Google, and it's like, well, these are a lot of like the evil corpos, right? The dystopian corporations. So like what's going on here, and why are they using the term open? So I came up with the idea. What does open mean? What's the real meaning when we say open? And I'm also reading a book called Open by Rob Canyon, who is one of the founders of Compaq. And they were working towards the open industry standard for building computers in the early 80s. And even just reading through the first 4 or 5 chapters of that book, they've already used the term proprietary like 7 times, and they're proud of it. Like, oh, we have an open standard that's proprietary. So it's like we co-opt.
Sounds like USB cables.
Right. Right. It's the word open is being co-opted. So I just wanted to have a talk about what does it mean to be open.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I actually wrote down a few different places you see it. Of course, in the business trend, open office is a big trend. We're not talking about the open office software. We're talking about this new open collaborative offices. If you watch like Joshua Fluke's channel is worth watching. He was a guy that was very young still, completely burnt by corporate America, does really good work highlighting the insanity of corporate America and many places, but he talks a lot about the open office concept where, people, businesses come in, oh, we got this open office. This means that you have a giant table and nobody has an isolated place, which means everybody is distracted by everybody else. You get that. You get the open source. Of course, we're familiar with open source in the Linux world. We got the open collaboration. Open data. This was an interesting one from Microsoft, which, of course, the open data is a data model where everybody can access all the data. Where's all the data come from? Well, our software that spies on you. So everyone can access the data that your operating system is collecting on the people using the operating system. You want to know why I use Linux? That's the reason right there. So anyway, there's thoughts. Dan, you want to jump on any early thoughts before we dig in a little deeper?
I don't know. It sounds to me like, they've taken something like opening a can of fruit. Now they're using the word open for buzzwords for everything just to make it sound fluffy.
Yeah, and that's the point, is it is being used as it's the current buzzword in business. Open. Open. It means everyone's open and vulnerable and we're coming together. And that's, I think, where the source of it is. Salbu, ideas.
Yeah, so I have in my old flat, I used to have a TV subscription up until 2015. And I had a dedicated cable box that I paid for. I paid $1,300 for it because I could put any kind of firmware or any kind of operating system that I wanted. And the TV companies in Norway, the cable TV companies, would very much love that this box was illegal, but no. So this cable box that I had, it's called Dreambox, and the firmware that I used is something called Peter Pan, and it had the graphical user interface that it had. One of the plugins that you could install said in the about box about the software that this software is not free software, it is open source, and the license that they used was Creative Commons, no commercial, so it's neither open source nor free software. So there is some, and that this is one of the things that Richard Stallman has always talked about, that it's the problem with using open as opposed to free. that the open does not necessarily mean the freedom that the term free software means. But he has also said that the term free software in English is ambiguous, that in that it both means free as in freedom and free as in beer. So because there are free software that you have to pay for in order to get. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is one of these software that you have to pay in order to get it. But if you want to have it for free, you can either download all the RPM packages needed to rebuild and install your own system, or you could use CentOS or Alma Linux or all the forks that turned up in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's not free. You got to buy it. Once you buy it, it's opened. You can look at it, but you can't distribute it.
Yeah, because almost all of the software that comes with the Red Hat Enterprise is free software. They are licensed under a free license. They have some proprietary programs in there that they have the ability to ship around. But what you're paying for is not the software, but the support for the software. And they are earning millions of dollars for offering support to companies, because companies, they want someone to call and yell at when something is not working.
Yeah, and I completely support that model where paying for support is a good thing. You know, it's the same thing. I don't want to deal with all of the little odds and ends of questions about managing your SSLs or web servers. But if you want to pay me to do that, I'll gladly do that and do it for you. And that's really the advantage of the support.
Yeah, and you can also copy CDs or USB sticks with the installer for Linux Mint and offer it for sale legally if someone is stupid enough to buy it from you. And there is nothing stopping. So free software and open source does not equal no payment. So. Yeah. It just means that when you're selling this, you can't tell them that they can't do something that you yourself are allowed to do. So.
Let's go back, though, to the idea of the open collaboration where we started with. I went on to the completely and totally 100% trustworthy online, Wikipedia to get some basic definitions, and to be fair, some things they're okay with. Open collaboration, they say, is any system of innovation. So when we're talking about open, we're not specifically talking about Linux and open source software. We've all talked about that all the time. We're talking about this co-opting of this word open being used in business. So in the case of open collaboration, they say any system of innovation or production that relies on goal-orientated yet loosely coordinated participants who interact to create a product or service of economic value, which they make available to contributors and non-contributors alike, is primarily observed in open source software, but can be found in many other instances, such as internet forums, mailing lists, online communities. Open collaboration is thought to be the operating principle underlining the gamut of diverse ventures, including Bitcoin, TEDx, and Wikipedia. And so taking it that, basically they're saying our goal is to develop X. Anybody and everybody can contribute to this. So competitors might contribute their own portions. Independent people may contribute portions. Big corporate people will have employees to contribute to it. And that's kind of my understanding of utilizing open in that instance. Does that sound about right, Tech? I know your camera just went away, so I'm not sure if you stepped away or not.
Well, you have all these people actually collaborating on the open scale, but in the end, it's not free, is it? And do the open people get any kickback or payment for their open contribution?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's they can. The open idea does not preclude payment, but overall, it just means a variety of sources. They could be competitors, they could be freelancers, they could be corporate shills. Anybody and everybody can come together to to contribute to the project at the goal at which they're looking at. That is really where we're looking at when we're talking about the term open in this case, right? Tech, how was the reading of the article? I was going to go to you right when I finished reading
Sorry,
it. Man.
sorry, I had to step away
That's
for a
fine.
hot second there.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're talking about the one from Huawei.
I was looking at the Wikipedia.
The
Just
Wikipedia article.
The basic definition. That
Yeah,
sounded out of line.
I think that as an idea, I think open collaboration is good, and to some limited degree. So, as somebody who's worked in the business world and who's worked with contracting for government entities, there is, to some degree, when it comes to competing with another company, there is some degree of benefit to them not knowing what you're doing and you not knowing what they're doing. It kind of forces both of you to compete at your best and make the best product you can. I think that from an idealistic utopian perspective, at the end of the day, everybody kind of puts their cards on the table and says, look, this is what we've done, and we don't want to use these powers for evil, right? So I like the idea of open collaboration in that it can be used so that there's some transparency between all the parties as you work towards a common goal. And I think in our daily lives, as just kind of generic end users, those who don't have to consider large employee bases or industrial bases and things like that, I think it's very good. But there can be, I think that from a philosophical perspective, being that we're all privacy focused, and I'm sure we'll get into the open data concept shortly, I don't know that everything open all the time is a great idea.
Yeah, there's certainly some things. Of course, a lot of the web standards that are being placed into web browsers, these are open collaborations. They're good sources. We talked about, of course, the very frightening Facebook and Firefox collaboration. That's like an open collaboration. Right. They're bringing things together in order to push a goal of, I guess, collecting your data to sell you ads, which Firefox, what the hell are you doing? Stop it.
Well, Firefox needs money, and Facebook is losing money because of Apple's app tracking transparency.
Yeah, so they want a way to have your browser and your operating system spy on you beyond the
They've got a lot of open collaboration there.
Yeah, and so that's an example of it. I didn't read the Huawei one quite as close, but it was tied in. But again, even Huawei, the evil Chinese spies themselves are talking about open collaboration for a better world. And so they're basically talking about working, in some cases they work with their competitors, because if they can come together with their competitor to do something like cloud infrastructure that they can both use, then they can have different ideas about how to do it. And so that's really where the open collaboration is at as far as some of these perspectives. Anybody have anything else you want to jump in before we talk about the data portion of this?
I was going to say, for Huawei's part of it, it's in reading the book named Open by Rob Canyon and reading this article by Huawei, they kind of say similar things in different ways, which is we're the underdog. So everybody should kind of be out there and have a standard to work on because it'll benefit us all. And it's like, well, if you're the guy, that's not in first place in the market, that's great. Like, Huawei is trying to break out into the global market. And so it benefits them to use other people's research and development, right? Yeah. So, of course, they're going to take the position of open collaboration is fantastic. And if we're looking at it from a utopian perspective, we're trying to lift up, the benefits of technology for all of humanity, yes. But I don't think that Huawei is that altruistic, just like I don't think Apple is or Google is or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I hate them all.
Amen to that.
I hate to say it, but I got a dislike for all of them because of what they do.
Yeah, and I mean, they give us some decent things, but at the same time, sometimes it's like, okay, you want to give me a little bit less decent?
They give you some rope, but they give you enough to hang yourself.
Yeah, there was actually I watched a couple of the recent videos from Luke Smith where he's talking about this. The one on cell phones is absolutely amazing. You got to go watch that if you haven't, because he goes into a rant about everything's trying to push you to an app. And I've seen this. And guys, yeah, we need to stop downloading their apps. Just stop. Be like, sorry, I don't have a phone, man. You have to give me another way, because everything's pushing in that direction. But, of course, if they did some open collaboration on some of these things, it might make the world worse. So maybe we should be like, maybe we should push open collaboration away. I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Salbu, any ideas, thoughts?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the open data, because this is the one that kind of frightened me from Microsoft. Oh, look at this. We can maximize your points with Microsoft's rewards extension. Great. Talk about big data. They want me to install an extension. Look at this. Add it now. They want me to add an extension onto my web browser up here that's going to let Microsoft track me around the internet. Does that not sound exciting? Anyway, what do they mean by open data and data collaboration? Open data is data that is published for anyone to use without restriction, which can often be the most effective way to enable collaboration between people and organizations. There are also data collaboratives and data trusts that are useful, especially where there may be privacy or security concerns that need to be taken into consideration. One guiding principle is to be as open as possible, understanding that in some instances, effective sharing may include necessary limits. And as we get down, what are the downsides? But they get into where this is coming from. They actually talk about, this is coming from all the information that we're collecting from you. And this is why I'm not a huge fan of these companies talking about big and open data and things like that. Thoughts?
It sounds like they now that Microsoft have started to embrace the free software and open source method of working with software. It sounds like they are implementing this idea into gathering of data and spying on people. So they are, to use a bad term, open sourcing spying. So someone is collecting and someone else can fetch, and that's the sound that I got when I read it.
Today I got 2 phone calls. I got one phone call, and it sounded like they were from the court system or something like that, asking for a guy. They came right out and said that they got my number from my Social Security number. And I told them, this guy don't live here. He's not here. You got the wrong phone number. And then they hung up, and they called back a half an hour later with the same spiel.
Sorry, he died.
I told them that.
I'm not that guy. You're looking for the wrong guy. So actually, about an hour later, I got a voicemail, from another place that left a phone number. And they were like a third-party institution that deals in court papers and all this other junk. I called this lady up and explained to her, I'm like, my name is such and such. You got the wrong name matched, the wrong phone number. Whoever fed you this data's got it all jumbled up. And I'm not the guy you're looking for.
Don't correct them, Dan. Keep the errors in the system. Okay, you got to do everything you can to slow it down.
well, there's a time actually when, it becomes too encumbering if they're bothering you with phone calls. Like I had a case recently where
they were sincerely looking for somebody that wasn't me.
Well, yeah, I had a case where my phone number, which I still have, I attach it to just a voicemail box from the publishing company, but because I've had the number for like 25 years. So there are some people I know it's the only number that they have with me, and if they're really trying to get a hold of me, whatever. Well, apparently somebody grabbed this number and attached it to some other person that's not me and has never been me. It's a pharmacy keeps calling that my drugs are ready. So, and I'm like, initially I'm like, okay, probably a scam, because the first one of these I got was right when one of the frontline doctors scam starts coming down. So I figure that's what it is. I'm like, delete the message, but I keep getting them. And then I look back, and the phone numbers, some of them are the same, some of them are different, but they're all tying back to the same exact pharmacy, which is out of Las Vegas. So I ended up getting a separate independent number for the pharmacy, and I called the pharmacy, and I fed him these numbers. I said, all these numbers. They said, oh, yeah, all these numbers are associated. I said, well, this is my number. This is who you keep on trying to reach, and I'm here to tell you that this is probably not the case. And I said, probably somebody is using just a mishmash of information to illegally get prescription drugs. I said you should go back to whatever doctor is forwarding the prescriptions onto you and do a full-fledged audit of that account. Since I called the pharmacy, I have not heard anything back from them at all, which is good. But yeah, so if anybody though wants to, never mind, we're not going to go there.
Yeah,
These data rip-off companies can't even rip off the data and keep it straight.
Well, no, but there's no incentive for them to. Once they sell you the product, it's like the scammy old stereotypical used car salesman. As soon as the car rolls off the lot, it's no longer his problem, and that's the issue.
The story you told there reminds me of there was someone, I think it was a Norwegian. He started getting phone calls from someone asking to confirm that he was going to stay in such and such hotel with his wife and so on. But they wanted to confirm some of the details, and if he wanted to change something or add something. And he clearly they got the wrong number, but he was so tired of it, so he started feeding them as if he was that person going. So he, when they asked if he wanted this or that, then he selected this or that, and he made a blog post about it, and he was wondering how this couple were going to enjoy their very expensive holiday. So that's one danger of mixing, having a wrong kind of information. There is that when they do call someone and they have the wrong, then people can take advantage of that to either enrich themselves without having to pay for it, or souring the lives of someone completely innocent.
Boy, for the subject of being open, we sure are being open tonight.
Yeah, I guess we're bearing our hearts. Anybody else like to bare your hearts? Tack, you want to bare your hearts? Oh boy, yeah. So yeah, open. So open is, in summary, I guess, open is this buzzword that is right now being used. Just kind of talk about. It's the trendy thing because, of course, everyone's looking at open source software generally is a little bit better. And so everyone now is adopting the word open, but it doesn't often mean what many people are saying. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how the world is moving. But any other final topic on that? And then we can chat about some other things, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, just be careful when people use the term open. Make sure they mean open source. Like there's a difference between open and open source, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk about that. Somebody else in the comments earlier asked about some of the licenses. I don't know all of the nuances of the licenses. I think you guys probably do. But you got your MIT license, you got your GPL license. And open source software is software that you can, if I remember correctly, you can take the software, you can distribute, you can modify it, you can edit it. You just have to keep the copy of the license with it as you're passing it on.
I think,
and the derivations you can even sell if you would like.
Right. I think it's that if there's GPL 2 and 3, and I know Linus Torvalds likes 2, but he doesn't like 3. And his main reason for saying that is if you have an open source project, if you copy the code from somebody else and you make changes to that code and you improve it in some way, you then have to upstream that code back to whoever you borrowed it from. But in GPL 3, you don't have to do that. So, yes, is that
you're
what
basically sealing it with 3?
That's not correct.
That's not correct. Okay.
The thing that he doesn't like in GPL version 3 is they are strengthening the patent license part, so that if you're releasing some software that you have that utilizes some patent that you own the patent for, then you also are giving everyone a patent license to use that invention whereas in the GPL version 2 it was not. It was implied, but it was not spelled out in a plain language. So the TiVo was the case that made the Free Software Foundation to start changing the license to stop companies like TiVo from using open source software and doing some changes that didn't work with the device you were going to use the software on. So you could change the software, but it wouldn't work because you didn't have the key or whatever proprietary means you needed in order to make it work.
Right. Like take Google Chrome for the Chromebooks, for example. They got that from, let's say, Gen 2. And then they modified it to their specifications for their product. Did Gen 2 get anything out of it for that? Probably not.
And that's actually,
and they don't have to. But when they release the changes, they have to publish the source code. But they don't necessarily have to send a notice to the Gen 2 project that they had done something. As long as the Gen 2 project can figure it out and then download the source code 2 years later, say that's all. That's valid. And that is an upstreaming, even if they only post the source code on the website, and that is enough. And that is
that's not so for things like Linux that runs the Mars rovers, the supercomputers, and all that stuff. I'm sure they modified it, and no one else got a copy.
Yeah, but if they don't distribute the copies, if the only copy that they are using is a copy that they changed, but they don't share it with anyone, then they are free.
It's proprietary to them at that point. It's no longer open source.
Richard Stallman says this in all the talks when people ask about this question, and he says as long as they don't share the changes with anyone, they only keep the changes themselves, then they are free to not share it with the world. But as soon as they ship a copy to someone, they also have to share the source code if they are using a copyleft license like the GPLR. Whereas the MIT license is not restrictive in that regard, and that is why the Windows encryption algorithm for viewing web pages is still proprietary to this day, because they're using MIT license code that does not require that they share the changes.
Right, so, which is why it's an interesting thing that the PlayStation, I want to say it's the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 both actually use I want to say a modified version of BSD with the MIT license, which means they don't have to redistribute the code.
Interesting.
Exciting.
Yeah, and this is also the reason that Apple has they are explicitly banning the GPL from their App Store. You are not allowed to upload any software to the App Store that is using a copyleft license.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I gotta look at that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so much for open collaboration, I guess. Apple is not in any of the open collaboration stuff that I saw, by the way.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we are so non-open. We are going to lock everything out. So
one thing that's interesting about being not open, expanding on the going back to the open and not. When Steve Jobs was still at the company, there was no, as far as I know, there was no serious effort in place to stop people from trying to fix and open their MacBooks and their iMacs and so on. That happens after he died, and the new management, and it crept in along the way. But that's an interesting change.
Some of the old Macs were actually pretty easy to fix, but you know that's the case. Where I'm at now, my friends here, they have a lot of Apples, and some of them are dead. And he's like, "You think you could fix this?" I'm like, "It's an Apple, no." It's one of the all-in-one systems, you know. ones that Linus Tech Tips. They had one, I think, that broke, and they couldn't even get Apple to fix it with them paying to fix it. So they ended up bringing in Louis Rossmann.
That was a fun one.
Yeah. Back about 8 years on back, just about any laptop you can open it up and change the parts in it and stuff.
Even the laptop I just bought at that pawn shop, I can open it up and do whatever. In fact, I opened it up. I added more RAM. There's actually a separate spot if I want to put a second hard drive in there. I can do that. It's like, really? I have a lot of flexibility, and that's a fairly new.
What kind of laptop is it?
It's a Dell Inspiron. Is it an Inspiron? Oh, I forget. I'm sitting on it. I'd get it.
I am looking for a second laptop for testing.
It's a Dell Inspiron, and it has some really good integrated graphics. It's a Ryzen 5 5300, which is really, I mean, it rocks. It's wicked fast, and it's actually the configuration SSD is it's a NAND chip, and so they have a separate spot for a hard drive. So I could actually throw a second hard drive in there if I wanted to, and dual operating system it. It's like, wow, this is really good. And I paid $170 for it. What's that?
Is it a Vostro? Because that's their business model version of the Inspiron. And they
no, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's an Inspiron.
Maybe I should. All right, one of you guys talk. I'm going to move the cat and grab it.
You say it was an Inspiron?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's an Inspiron. A Ryzen 5 5300. I'm guessing it's a 5300U. It's actually a pretty solid laptop.
Yeah, it is.
The CPU.
Let's see.
It's a 6500.
All right.
Hey, show us that bad boy.
I'm gonna need to grab a flashlight.
Is it one of the?
We like stuff we can work on.
Is that what it is?
A lot of them old Dell laptops and stuff like that, the chargers are pretty much interchangeable.
Okay, this is an Inspiron 3505. 3505, and it is Inspiron 15. It has a 10 key as well. There is Radeon Graphics Ryzen 5. Let me just go ahead and push the boot up button here.
Yeah, it's one of the big ones that's probably got dual bays in it.
Yeah, it has a standard hard drive bay.
I like big screens. The size don't matter.
And then literally it's going to take like less than 10 seconds to get to up. Hold on, I need to decrypt the drive. After I decrypt the drive, it's less than 10 seconds to ask for the login screen.
Awesome.
There's that.
I'm happy. I'm happy you got something terrific.
Login screen. And let me pull up the About system. So it has 8 gigs of RAM by default, and I maxed it out at 16.
Ding dong.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine had a laptop 10 years or so ago that had it had 2 gigabytes of RAM, and it was the maximum supported. And then he flashed the wrong firmware on it, and suddenly it supported 8 gigs of RAM.
Nice. I did need to upgrade. This is running Linux Mint. I did need to upgrade the kernel to the 5.13 because there were some issues with the default kernel, which I think is at 5.05. I think has issues with this.
5.10.
It can't boot. Yeah, 5.10. Yeah, 5.10 is the default. So I upgraded to 5.13, which fixed it. It is an AMD Ryzen 5 3450U with Radeon graphics, mobile graphics. So it has, I think it's 8 processing cores when all said and done. It has a 256 gigabyte SSD hard drive. So hard drive's pretty small, but that's fine. I don't really need a big hard drive on my portable laptop. But I'm going to think about I have a spare mechanical drive in here. I'm thinking about throwing it in over here. And there was one more thing I wanted to check. Do system monitor.
And it's a good thing that it has AMD graphics, because then you have a free software and GPU driver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a lot of screen tearing with Intel graphics.
Yeah, we got 8 processing cores, and I forget exactly how much V memory it has. I think it's set to like 1 gig or 2 gig of V memory. I forget. But yeah, it was $170 at a pawn shop. So
Man,
I was like, yeah, I'll take
what a
that.
steal.
Yeah.
Those are going. I just looked at one on Amazon. They're $435 on Amazon.
Yeah. I think the charging port is a little wonky. Sometimes it doesn't want to charge. So next time I open it up, I'm going to look at the charging port. But with the Dell specifically sells the parts to fix all their laptops. You can go to.
They have awesome like instructions on how to tear them all down.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna want to get back to my home base here in a month or two. I'm gonna go ahead and probably order a new charging port and just tear it apart and throw a charging port in there, and then perfectly fine. So yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. So
HP is not a good thing to do Linux on, especially if you're a hopper.
I hear they're pretty good. I have philosophical.
The BIOS is horrible.
Oh, are they? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, were you have philosophical issues with HP?
Oh, I have philosophical issues with HP. They can screw it. I recommend anybody buy HP. And
when they made only printers, they made really good ones. But then when they started to branch out into the laptops and everything else, the whole company went down the toilet.
Yeah. At least though, they have not put DRM in their paper yet.
Yeah, I saw that.
There is a company that's a label printing company. They're putting DRM in their paper. Yeah. So you have to use their.
It puts little tiny dots on your whatever you're printing they're usually kind of a yellow color, but you can't see them without magnification.
Well, no. That's a different issue. I mean, who cares about that? This is a printing company that is adding RFID chips in their paper, so you cannot use any other paper except their proprietary paper.
Oh man!
Wow.
Louis Rossman just did a video on it, I think yesterday.
Talking about filling your drawers today.
Yeah.
While you're out getting gassed, everybody, go ahead and get your DRM paper while you're at it.
That's right. Hey,
while I strongly disagree with they're doing it, I do see the argument for doing it, because this is a label printer which do not have any kind of ink or toner. They are burning the text onto the paper itself. So the only purchase, except for the printer itself, is the paper that you need for it, and you can easily choose a competitor or a cheap knockoff brand. That where the paper is not as good, but it should be your choice in order to do that. Louis Rossman said this, and he made the comparison of the one roll of the original paper, and how many rolls did for the same amount of money you got 8 rolls of the same type of paper for the same amount of money. So.
Yep.
And if you are a shipping company that ships a lot of printing labels, that becomes a lot of money in a year.
It's special paper, I know. Yes, I know. Hey, now, correct me here. Did Keurig actually drop the idea of DRM coffee, or is that still a thing? One model of the Keurig coffee pot required DRM.
Right. I remember idea. I refuse to use that. I can buy a whole pound of coffee for what they want for big
I remember one of the circumvention of the DRM was that don't throw away the old cups just because they DRM chip.
Dump some new coffee in them.
No. I think it was Keurig. The top part of the just take off the top part and stick it onto the next brand, and it will happily accept it because it is the valid chip. So
yeah. So my friends, when I was in California, my friends had a Keurig. Now they had a generic one first, which used the cups, the little K cups. And I thought they were very wasteful, but the generic pot that they had was good in that you would take your cup. So like this is a odd type, odd volume cup, fill up with water, pour it in the top, put in the cup, push the button, and hit brew, and it's going to take whatever you poured into it, it's going to spill down into here. And then somebody gives them a Keurig, a branded coffee pot for Christmas. And let's go use this. There's only 3 sizes of cups. You push the cup size that you want. The large cup size only fills this 3/4 of the way. So it's like, I'm never getting a full cup of coffee with this stupid overpriced nonsense. Like, why in the world? Like, especially in this world of, oh, we got to stop our waste. Oh, we got to save our planet. So why is it every person that's screaming that is putting in the trendy Keurig coffee pots, which are more wasteful than anything? Lands, but oh well. Yeah, pretty much. Dell soon to be sold. How to change power harness jack. You have the same port as mine. Check if the port inside is a plastic cylinder. Is it moving or missing? Let's see. If it go away, you'll short circuit the power controller or power harness jack immediately, please. Wait, what? Yeah. That's the one thing I don't like about Dell's is how proprietary their power ports are. And that is a little annoying, but it's doable.
As somebody who's worked on a lot of laptops, I think pretty much all of them have like some sort of stupid proprietary like connector inside on the actual main board.
Yeah, the Dell's though is interesting because they actually have a third wire.
Yeah, that sends that current. And so if you hook up like an HP charger to a Dell, it'll tell you it's not like a Dell branded charger.
Now,
so.
Most of the Dell, if you have those, most of those Dells, you can actually disable that sensor.
Yeah, you can.
So actually, I had to do that on mine because I actually have my Dell computer talking about not using a standard Dell power adapter. My media PC is actually wired into my van house batteries. Yeah.
I just googled the Keurig and the DRM, and a year later, the DRM was implemented in 2014, as far as I can figure out, and in 2015. They were interviewed by the Ars Technica, and they said that it was wrong to implement the DRM. And the article says that the circumvention was just put sticky tape on the DRM scanner, and it would circumvent the entire thing. So taping your coffee was enough to fool the entire system.
Yeah. K-Cup set it for bold. All right. Use reusable plastic or metal Keurig. Yeah, if you can get a Keurig little thing like just a Keurig basket, and you can refill it. So you can do that at all, but never a fan. I'm using an American Press in the van. I found that that's the best for van life. Never buy a computer. I will build it and put Linux on it. Yep. Biodegradable coffee cups. The worst is Lenovo weightlifting Wi-Fi chips on the ThinkPad, so I can't upgrade my old Lenovo. It's stuck with a crappy card. What? That sucks.
That's one thing I could do with some of my older laptops. Some of them, like my HP, came with an i5 in it. And there was a website where you put your laptop in it and the CPU number, and they'll give you a list of all the compatible CPUs you can fit in that socket because it's a socketed CPU. And I was able to put like a 4th generation i5, a 3.5 gigahertz processor in place of an i5 piece of junk.
Nice. Very cool.
It cost me, the processor cost me nearly $100.
That's still not too bad to upgrade a whole laptop. All right. Well, it's coming up on 8, so I think we are going to jump off. Oh, look at this. We are indeed getting, but like YouTube has not notified our regular viewers, but we have had 3 bots jump in. They're not being super botty, but
Yeah, I was going to say, are these okay?
Yeah, we
I'm
got
not
two
even
bots just
looking, and
jumping.
I'm a
Sorry, bots.
mod.
We're gonna jump
I
off
just
here.
saw them and I was like, are these bots? Or are they just like goofy? Did somebody fall on their
Yeah,
keyboard or what?
YouTube's throwing us back on the naughty list. Oh well. All right. Well, we are going to jump off here, and I'm going to be on the Christian stream tonight. Talk about the case super close to my heart. A web designer who is sued for not wanting to produce pro LGBT materials. Very interesting. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. If you're interested in such materials, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Christian channel. And we'll be back with that. And we will have... I'm also trying to get the travel channel stuff up. So if you guys have not seen the travel channel, I'll go ahead and put a link for that in here as well.
You're the perfect man for the guy, for that job.
We're putting up... we're putting up doing a video, like 2 videos a week is kind of what the goal is. So you can jump in on over there, see where I'm at. Usually I'm 2 months behind. I think I just put up my video about Death Valley, and I think I was there in December. So, you know.
Yeah, I watched it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
You've got the knack for describing them kind of things.
Yeah, I love the title that you gave the video.
The which one? Oh, yeah. Yea, though I walk through the valley of death. Yeah, that was a good one. And I also recorded a video about how to find water on the road. And that one was
strangle
also
a cactus.
Yes. Well, I didn't talk about the survival type stuff like strangling the cactus. I did finally buy a portable water filter, though, in case I happen to need it in an emergency case. I was traveling through Louisiana last week, and it's not a particularly van life friendly place. So in the Cabela's that's up there, you can actually, despite having a local ordinance about overnight parking in any of the city places, they're like, no, just park in the staff lot. It's kind of a well-known thing. So, I went over and bought some fun stuff from Cabela's. I did that, and I've wanted to get a rechargeable headlamp rather than having to keep on putting these in. So I bought this headlamp that has a light on it that's so bright. It allegedly only lasts 35 seconds. Boom!
Wow.
It's like a 400 lumen light
in your camera.
I know, I might. But and I'm dropping a bunch of money at Cabela's for letting me sleep in their back parking lot.
Yeah.
But
I have a flashlight on my kitchen that has 1500 lumens. So
yeah, I mean, compared
this one's extremely
to my LED,
powerful,
which is like, okay, whatever. But I need bright flashlights sometimes on the road.
This one's a mechanic's flashlight.
Man, y'all, too bad. Like the people watching the stream, we're not in the actual like members, supporters chat here, because that actually like whited out your camera completely. But on the live stream, it's just like a very bright blue light for a half a second.
You just beamed in.
Oh no, because I shine it there and then down there. So yeah, it was exciting. But anyway, all right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow with the weekly news roundup the night and evening. I have not seen any real privacy videos. I think I've only seen privacy news items. I've only seen 1 or 2. So hopefully there's some in the news cycle tonight. Otherwise, I might have to actually actively search out more. I don't know.
They already got everybody's information. It's all over.
Yeah, so it's just whatever. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow for the weekly news roundup, or tonight over on the Christian stream, talking about a web designer forced to put stuff in. Anyway, guys, we will catch you next time.
Have a good week, everyone.